today, just barely 2 weeks after 10 persons were killed in military airstrike in Sokoto. Remember that secondary explosion. 16 persons have also been killed in Tugun-Kara community in Zamfara State after an airstrike by the Nigerian Air Force mistakenly targeted members of the Zamfara Community Protection Guard, local vigilantes and residents. Eyewitnesses reports that the airstrike struck shortly after bandits operated in the area and fled, inadvertently hitting those who were mobilizing to protect their home. The lawmaker representing Maradun's constituency 2 in Zamfara State House of Assembly, Maharazu Faro, confirmed the incident and described it as an accident. The military authorities have also responded to that effect. The Nigerian Air Force says there is no credible evidence to support claims that 16 civilians were killed during that airstrike against insurgents. NAF, in a statement earlier today, announced the success of the operation in Fasan-Uyama, coordinated ground assault targeting stronghold of notorious bandit leader Kachala Bello Turji at Fakai Hills. The spokesperson of the force, Air Vice Marshal Lushala Akimboyoa, emphasized the operation's achievement in neutralizing scores of bandits and rescuing several kidnapped victims, calling it a significant step toward restoring peace and security in Zamfara State. So let's talk about this. There's been this back and forth as to what really happened in Zamfara State. Were they mistakenly killed? How many people were killed? Well, as you can hear from the Air Force, they said there was no credible evidence to support claims that 16 civilians were killed because they said they carried out their operations to the best of their ability. This is not the first time we're seeing things like this. It happened not too long ago in Sokoto, where the military now came out to say it was secondary explosion. So what exactly is going on? So I'm going to be running you through some of the highlights, as my producer will have it soon, some of the mistaken or accidental bombings, as you will, that has occurred, say, in the last few years in Nigeria. Some have been denied by the military authorities, some have not been denied, but a total of almost 300 to 400 persons have died by some of these incidents. We've been joined, so that's what you're seeing on your screen. I can't run through all of them, but if you can see some of the things that were highlighted, the dates, the communities, the local government areas, the state, call it the timeline of some accidental bombings that had occurred in Nigeria. Some have gotten over 100 in some incidents, some about 7, some about 4, some 1 person, some undisclosed number of casualties, considered collateral damage, and these are Nigerian citizens. We know the job of the military is quite difficult, but we need to ask some of the questions concerning all of this. But the NAF has spoken. But let's bring in the Commissioner for Information in Zamfara State, Mr. Mahmoud Dantawasa. He joins us via Zoom from Govt. Mr. Commissioner, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Now, I know I had to drag you out of ESCO or around ESCO period, but so let's get straight to it. You know, when we hear some of this incident that mistaken accidental bombings that affect civilians, most of the time we have this pushback from the military to say this is not what played out, and then we'll get clearer picture later. I don't know whether it's a style, the NAF will be able to respond to that, but you are the government in Zamfara State. What exactly is the situation of things?
The truth is the situation is very bad. It's a very unfortunate situation where civilians were bombed by the Nigerian Air Force. The government considered this as a mistake because the new operation, Fansanyama, has been doing a very good job in neutralizing bandits across the state. Sokoto, Katsina, Kebbi, Zamfara State. Successes have been recorded, but you know, along the line, mistakes do happen everywhere, and there are collateral damage. This incident occurred on Saturday evening, shortly after armed bandits raided the area and fled. Local vigilance and residents defending the communities were caught in the strike, unfortunately. The strike, I think it's not the first of its kind, if like you actually stated. There are occurrences of it. I believe it's a mistake by the Nigerian Air Force. When these communities were raided, the people, I think the villages in that region between Zurmi and Maradu local government, Tungakara and Boko and other villages have that civilian JTF there and community protection guards employed by the Zamfara state government have been working together to make sure to ensure security in the area. So when there were reports of armed bandit regrouping in an area going on to attack a particular village around that area, so that the civilian JTFs and the CPGs and all the communities involved gathered and chased the bandit away. They were in like a pursuit of the bandit. And after successfully chasing the bandit away from the area as they were going back into their respective places, I think the Operation Fansanyama were already informed of the bandit regrouping in that particular area, and they have called the air component of the Operation Fansanyama, which a fighter jet was on its way to rescue those villages. So as the bandit fled the area, an unfortunate incident occurred where those communities were those people that were gathered that chased the bandit away were struck by the Nigerian Air Force. It's a very sad situation. We know the Zamfara state government is very concerned and very worried. His Excellency is very worried about the loss of lives. About 16 people were killed in an unfortunate incident, which we consider as a collateral damage. Accidents like this do happen, and in almost all the places where there are insecurities. I believe a lot of this has happened. We have seen it in Maiduguri, which is Borno State, Sokoto here recently, and then now in Zamfara. So it is an unfortunate situation. 16 people are dead and many others are injured.
So I want us to break it down. The last time we had the understanding of the military, the army this time, not the Air Force, they said it was secondary explosion. What they simply meant by that was they were targeting Lakrawa terrorists. They bombed them directly. They were burnt beyond recognition. And some of the targets that was hit was a cache of ammunition. And so when they hit those ammunition, it exploded, and it was as a result of the secondary explosion that people were killed, the civilians, about 10 of them. In this case, was it a direct hit on the civilians? Has the government contacted the families of these civilians? Because I'm going to somewhere with that question.
Yes, exactly. This case is a different one. Like I stated, there were banditry grouping in a particular area. You know how they do a form of attack where they have to regroup themselves and carry a large attack on communities that they are targeting, mostly cows and kidnappings and what have you. So as the people in that particular communities, the residents of that particular, those communities involved, we have the civilian JTF and we have the CPG, which are the community protection guards, newly recruited by the government to help in the fight against banditry in the state and insecurities and kidnappings. So after they have successfully chased the bandit away, as they were coming back, they were carrying their local guns and their ammunitions. So the air component of Operation Fansanyama was on its way to rescue those communities before the people were able gathered into to take that particular action. An unfortunate incident, like I stated, occurred where the Air Force mistaken those people carrying those ammunition as the bandit because they were called upon. So the state government has been doing its best in contacting the families. I think those that are in the hospital is the government that is treating them. His Excellency has sent down a team to those communities to investigate the matter and provide immediate assistance support. The Zamfara Emergency Management Agency is also on ground in those communities that the incident has taken place to give quick treatment to those that are injured and to also console those that have lost their lives to their family members. So there are efforts from the state government.
So has the government also been has the government interfaced with the Nigeria Air Force Authority, Nigeria Air Force, because they are saying that there's no credible evidence to support claims that 16 persons were killed, which is why I deliberately asked you to give us what the government knows about what happened, because the Air Force is saying it's a different version of event.
Like I stated, mistakes do happen everywhere. First, Air Force were thinking it was a stroke on the bandit, but when the news started circulating that those are the civilian GTFs and the CPGs that were going on an operation to fight the bandit, I think the Air Force usually makes a U-turn and say this is an accident that occurred, is an unfortunate situation, but we will do our findings. We have been in touch with them and they have sent down their team and they said they will do their findings and they will get back to us on what they have found. But I can assure you that we have been recording success in the fight against banditry and insecurity in the state. And the Air Force has been trying very well for the state and the good people of Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara state. We must give credit to them. Mistakes do happen, we know that. Over the last week, a lot of bandits were neutralized by the same operation Fansanyamba, as the bandits were out to stroke on particular communities or certain communities. Once this operation Fansanyamba, the Air Force is called upon, they give them 30-40 minutes maximum. An aircraft, a fighter jet is there to bomb the bandit. So the level of insecurity in the state has reduced drastically. Like, the whole Nigerians are aware that our stand is very clear. We will not negotiate with bandits, we will not negotiate with criminals. And the state government has been encouraging those communities to defend themselves. So I believe when they finish their findings, they revert back to us. And I stated to you that earlier the squad has been sent down to those communities.
Okay, yeah, because of course they said they will investigate. I just wanted us to corroborate the stories, the different versions of events as to what played out in that village, because we salute our military. 15th of January is the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, so that's why we're wearing some of these things to, in solidarity with the military. But we must also ask questions when there are questions to be asked, if there are mistakes, if there are avoidable mistakes as well. So every life is important. The whole idea of the airstrike is to safeguard the lives and property of people. So if they die in the process, we will ask questions. But let's talk about the issue of Bello Teruji. How far has that gone? I know that the military has made some statement as far as the issue of Bello Teruji, which is perhaps is the most wanted bandits in Nigeria right now. What can you say concerning I'm almost asking the whereabouts. I'm not saying you're a bandit, but I'm just asking his questions about his whereabouts. What does the government know?
Well, he is one of the most wanted criminals by the Nigerian security and the armed forces. His location is still unknown, but I assure you, the way things are going now, the operation Fansanyamba will soon reach to Bello Turji and his fellow bandits like Dogo Gede and others. The state government is working 24/7 on ensuring the safety, lives, and properties of the citizens of the state. And the military, our armed forces, we must give credit to them. Bello Turji is on the run. And I don't even think or believe he's in Zamfara state at the moment. I think he is somewhere around Sokoto, between Sokoto and Niger, because the operation Fansanyamba has been striking this bandit day and night. We have the army that are on the ground troops that are in the bushes, and the Air Force, the air component of the operation Fansanyamba is always all over the air between the Katsina, Zamfara, Kebbi, and Sokoto. So his location is still unknown, but I'm telling you, very soon, Operation Fansanyamba will neutralize Bello Turji and other bandits that are known, like Dogo Gide and others. Most of them have been killed under this administration because the government has been very serious on its fight against onslaught against banditry, kidnappings, and insecurities in general in the state. Like I also stated, I don't think Bellotology is in Zamfara state.
Okay. So I'm also wondering to the effect that beyond the issue of the efforts at getting Bell Authority, what is the long-term plan? Because we're losing a lot of money when it comes to issue of mining, illegal mining, for instance. Nigeria is losing a lot, and Zamfara is blessed with some of these natural or minerals resources. What is the action plan of government to make sure that in the long term, say let's just give it like 10 years, 5 to 10 years, we begin to get these bandits out in the first place and really make commercial value of what these things are? Because there is no way the level of success we've seen recorded by the activities of bandits and their accomplices, this is not almost institutional one way or the other. So what is the government doing to revert that so that we can get these monies into government coffers and grow the economy of Zamfara State and by extent Nigeria?
That's a very good question there. You see, first, you cannot achieve anything without security. Zamfara has been on the ban list for quite some time. I think the ban was lifted just about 2 weeks ago by the federal government. Natural resources, I think mineral resources are in the mining is in the exclusively the solely affair of the federal government, not the state government. It was because of this insecurity that the previous administrations not tackle that the federal government put this ban and a no-fly zone, which was also lifted during this our administration. So our government is committed to ensuring the safety of our citizens first. Secondly, like you rightly stated, Zamfara is blessed with natural resources, which these natural resources are a blessing and a curse at the same time. But the insecurity in the states, people outside the state are looking at this as a result of illegal mining activities or the natural resources. Yes, some of these bandits are into mining, like the famous Halilu Sububu that was killed about 2-3 months ago. That was into mining, but it is not about natural resources. It's cattle stealing. It started there, from cattle stealing to kidnappings for ransom, and then some of them are into mining, like the Halilu Sububu that was killed. And the state government is working around the clock to ensure there are policies in place for anyone that is coming into the state to mine natural resources. One, we want to ensure there is security first, which, yes, there is security from where we came from. If you look at back about 2-3 years ago, before we came on board, the situation was very bad. Govt Alawal has tried in achieving this within this short period of time, that the civilian GTF that were employed under community protection guards are working tirelessly day and night 24/7 to rescue any village or anyone that was being kidnapped or is being kidnapped by the bandit. So I assure you, the next few months, mining legally will resume in the states, because federal government has lifted the ban. All the companies that are licensed to come into state will go and mine into their sites freely without fear of anything, because we have achieved security like significantly.
All right.
It was why the federal government lifted the ban.
Just before I let you go, in maybe 30 seconds, government working on compensation for the family of those who were killed in this accidental bombing?
Definitely. We always do that. Wherever there are incidents like this, Governor Dauda Lawal has this empathy in him that he always look at people. The slogan of the government is rescue mission, of course. We know people are suffering where incident, unfortunate circumstances like this occur. The governor usually go to those places himself to check on them and give them a word of assurance, and definitely there are compensation. As I am having this live interview with you, I told you there are state government officials in those villages that went with relief materials, and there will be definitely compensation for the families.
All right. Umar, thank you so much, Mr. Mahmoud Dantawasa, the Commissioner for Information in Zamfara State. Thank you. I'll continue to check in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me.